Well, I'm involved in 3 or 4 different research projects. The first one I've been working on now for several years. It involves a software suite called Avenue PM, or Avenue Progress Monitoring. And the basic idea is that we're attempting to use progress monitoring techniques, but to do so using technology to gather data about students, where we monitor students' literacy development and then give that information back to the students and back to the teachers, and attempt to intervene when learning problems emerge. And so we've been doing this for very young children, learning literacy, and we've been focusing initially with a community of deaf and hard of hearing students. And now what we're trying to do is to expand that into other domains, both mainstream students in K-12 situations, and then more recently we've been trying to apply progress monitoring techniques to English language learners, to non-native English speakers, to see whether we can use progress monitoring tools with them to help to monitor their learning of English. So that's one project. It involves a lot of data collection. It's all done online, and so it's made me very interested in e-assessment in general. So another project that I'm working on now involves data collection, online data collection for new physicians. So typically what happens with new physicians when they start working in hospitals is they work with more senior doctors called attendings. And attendings give them feedback. And the feedback usually is put on a piece of paper and handed to the resident. And then often there's a copy of it that's put into an Excel spreadsheet. We know when that happens that the data tend to be somewhat static, and it's very difficult to follow up on those data. So the project that we've been working on attempts to gather data electronically through an app on an iPad, to put that information into a database, and then to give it back to the student and to the attendings, so that there can be follow-up on the data. The data tend to be based upon physician standards, and as students achieve those standards, we can remove them from assessment and then put other items in. So that's the second project. Another project that I'm working on with Kyle Peck from my department looks at the use of learning objects. What we're interested in doing is trying to design a better online learning system. So it expands the notion of a MOOC. So too often MOOCs just involve the delivery of content. What we're trying to see is whether we can build pedagogy into the design and development of a MOOC. And is there another project that I'm working on? Yes, there is. There's a learning analytics project that I'm working on. The learning analytics project is at the college level, and what we're trying to see is whether we can take a large lecture course, gather data about the students, and give feedback to students based upon their performance and the performance of similar students who are going through the same course. What we want to do is to make students aware of effective learning strategies and to give that data back to students in the hope that we can help them to monitor and modify the learning strategies that they use in a course.